Hello, it's LaDonya here from Keep It Crafty with LaDonya. I thought I would come on this morning and show you how I made these boxes. They were really good size. You get quite a lot in there. Let me just... And it's a very snug fit as well. They are 5 inches by 3 inches by 2.5 inches. So you can get quite a lot in there. And I have used the Love You Always Speciality Designer Series paper, this one with the pattern on. And then for this mirrored one, I've used the Love You Always foil sheets. And they come in Rococo Rose, Blushing Bride, and Sahara Sands. So I thought I would do the third one in the Sahara Sand, and then I've got one of each. And the beautiful papers, absolutely beautiful papers. So I'm going to pop these to one side, and we shall get started. I have cut my cardstock. I've prepped already to keep the video time down. So I'm just going to show you what I've done. I've took 2 A4 pieces of cardstock, and I have cut one at 10 and 1/16 by 8 and 1/16, and that will be the lid. And then I've cut the base at 10 by 8. So the lid is 1/16 of an inch bigger on the length and the width. And I just wrote lid on there so I don't get confused. And this is all the waste we've got from those 2 A4 sheets. So plenty for tags, certainly not wasting that. So, and then I'm just going to score the lid and the base. I'm going to score it all at 2.5 inches all the way round. With the extra 1/16, that will make a nice snug fit on the lid for us. So that's the lid done. And then 2.5 on the base as well. There we go. So that's all of the scoring done. So I'll pop that out of the way. And I'm just going to grab my big scissors. So, we need to fold and burnish first. And then we get some nice sharp creases. I've decided to try and do this in the window with some daylight, because I showed a friend a little video clip and it was far too shiny with the lamp on. So I'm trying to do it before the sun comes round and shines on everything. So get some nice crisp corners, and then we'll do some cutting. There we go. So I'm going to cut the tabs here this way, so as we look at the box, we've got a nice finish on the front, and then you'll see the seams on the side instead of the front. So I'm going to cut up here, just nice and straight, taking the score line off of here and leaving it on here. So just cut nice and straight up to that intersection just there. I'm just going to turn over and do exactly the same. Keeping it as straight as possible. And then we shall do the same on the other piece as well. So that's one. This is why I wrote lid on the lid, so as then I don't get confused between chopping and changing between each one. The last thing I want to do is stick all of the mats onto the base and it'd be the wrong way round. We would have to make a new insert then. So that's the cutting done for now anyway. So I'm just going to grab my trimmer, because I want this really nice and neat. I want the tabs at the same size, so I'm going to use my trimmer for that. So I've folded this piece underneath out the way, and then we're just going to cut the tabs there. I've lined this part up to the 3/4 of an inch line, and that will give us plenty of purchase for the adhesive. You can just fold that middle part out of the way, and then we cut the tabs. And again, these can be used for sentiments, so they can go into the scrap packet. So line it up with the 3/4 of an inch and just whip those off. There we go. So then of course we still need to do a little bit of snipping, so as we can wedge these flaps, and then we get a nice finish once we glue it together. I'm quite aware I've got the sun coming round at the moment. I hope I can finish this before it actually hits my workspace. So I'm trying not to hang about. I didn't think it was going to be sunny today. Yes, that's all that one done. And then this one. I thought it was going to be overcast, so I should have started a bit sooner, as it turns out. There we go, so that's that done. Just whiz them into the bin. And then this one is the base, so we'll get this one glued together. And you can use tear and tape or stamp and seal, but I prefer wet glue. Just bring it up, make a nice right angle in the corner and give it a good press. And once it's in place, I'll grab our bone folder and just burnish it down. Make sure all the glue is all nicely spread under there. And then the same on all 4 corners. And then when we get to the lid, we'll put the layers on before we make it into the lid itself, before we construct it. Then just quick burnish, quick check. I like to put my layers on first before making the box lid, because I seem to get them straighter, but I do sometimes forget. Right, so line that up, line this one up, and then we'll burnish the 2 of them. There we go. So that is our base made, so I'll pop that to one side. So with the lid, I've used the mirror paper, and I have punched out, using my sprig punch, 3 of these, ready for decorating the top with. So I've got those 3 there. Oh, stuck together. Because nobody will see this, because we're going to pop this layer over the top. So this one is cut, this is 5 by 3, so this is cut at 4 7/8 by 2 7/8. And then this one, 4 3/4 by 2 3/4, yes. So 4 3/4 by 2 3/4. And that will just sit like that. So I'll glue that down now. And because we've got these bits in here, I'm just going to make sure to go into the middle and make sure it all sticks. We don't want it raising up in the middle and causing any problems. So that's in place, so we'll just flip that over and then give it a press. There we go, and then we'll pop this one on. So this layer here is 1/4 of an inch smaller than the actual box measurements, but with the other speciality paper I have done 1/8 of an inch decrease on the box measurements, because then that will bring it in line with the mirrored card. And I don't want to use the mirrored card all the way round, because let's face it, that can get quite expensive to make a box. So this one here, 4 7/8 by 2 3/8. So we'll stick those on as well. I would also caution to be a little bit careful to make sure, if you are using wet glue, to make sure you don't get any on the mirror card. It is quite tricky to get off afterwards without leaving marks. So the best thing is to just not get it on there in the first place. So just be careful not to get any glue onto the mirror part. Now I'm expecting, because the other two went very well, I'm expecting at some point I will get glue on the mirror card here, because that's the way it goes. When you're trying to show somebody, things go wrong. So that's those on, and then this one is 2 7/8 by 2 3/8. So they're going to fit on like that. That's that one. And then that one, and that is most of that organised. So that is all the layers on. Now what I did for the, where did that go? What I did for the mum, I have used, well, first off, these layers here, I have used the Stitch So Sweetly dies. And if we start with the smallest one, if the smallest one is number 1, I have used number 2, number 3 and number 4. So number 4 for the mirror part. And then what I did was I popped it into my trimmer and put my blade down and just cut that part out there, which gave me this part here. So then this piece here I laid on top of my, I don't have any foam pads, I only have dimensionals. But I laid that onto my dimensional pad and then cut around it, as you can see just there, cut around it. And then very carefully took each one of these covers off. I left the solid piece for afterwards, I thought that would be easier, and took those off. It's a bit tricky, but it certainly can be done, and then you end up with some dimension on your letters. Let's pop that out of the way again. And for that I use the Playful Alphabet dies. These are fantastic. You get all of those, and even better, it's printed underneath where each one goes. So if you happen to drop one or miss one, scrape it into the bin. When you put this away, you know you need to look for one. So you should never lose them. I think that was a really, really good idea. So talking about losing them, let's put it in the packet. Oh, right, so that's that out of the way. So that gave me my letters out of that scrap from the middle there. So then obviously that is now rubbish, that can go into the bin. So I'm going to stamp on here. Now I've chosen, this is Sahara Sands cardstock to match the mirror paper and the speciality paper, but I'm going to go a shade darker and use crumb cake for my stamping. And I'm going to take this sentiment, "You're amazing and that's a fact," from Strong and Beautiful, because I think that just goes nicely. So I'm just going to put that straight, and hopefully then I can stamp straight. And just stamp that in the middle there. There we go. Oh, I've not done that very well. Well, I'm not going to stick that on, and then I can cut and redo another one afterwards. I just needed to have pressed down a bit harder, that's all. So let's not forget, I'm just going to put a cross on there to remind me not to stick that on. So I'm going to stick that on there, but obviously just a little spot of glue around the edges. And again, try to be careful not to get glue where it can be seen. So that is that on. Then I would stick that on, but I'm not going to. Where's my lid gone? So we're going to have that just there. And then I'm going to snip these so then I can manoeuvre them where I want them. So I'm just going to snip each one in half. And then we can put each separate sprig where we want it, because I want them spread about down the side. So like that sort of thing. So I just take a little smidge of glue. I'm going to put a spot of glue on all of them except the end one. And then hopefully we shouldn't have any mess with glue. And it doesn't matter if it slightly comes off the side. Obviously, oh, as that folds down into the box, that will be stuck off the side. That's absolutely fine. I'm happy with that. So then I'm just going to stick the rest of these ones on. In fact, if I turn that round, that'll probably be easier. There we go. And just a little tiny spot on it, the back of each one. These papers are so pretty, and you get 12 sheets of these. So you get 4 of the Sahara Sand, 4 of the Rococo Rose, and 4 of the Blushing Bride. They're really pretty. Oh. You don't get so many sheets in the foil packet. So obviously we need to make that last longer, which hence only the one mat of that. How many sheets of that one do you get, the foil paper? You get 6 sheets of that, so you only get half the amount that you do of the designer series paper. But I was very lucky to be able to do a paper share and get half a pack of each of these. Right, there we go. So now we'll turn that round. That will sit there, and then with a new tag on top once I've done it. So we just line these up at the side where we want them. So that'll be where we want them. So let's get rid of that out of the way so we don't make a mess. Now when I did my first one, I got my U a bit crooked because I did that first. So I decided I'm going to do my M's first and see if I can't get see if I can't get everything a little bit straighter. So I'm just going to hold it with my pokey tool and then try and line it up with the edge here and then press down. The same at the bottom. Try and get a similar gap as what you've got at the top there. And then press down. And then we'll do the U last. And hopefully just aim for the middle. And it should be okay. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go from the bottom, because as I take my pokey tool out, I don't want to pull that because it's quite long on its own. So let's see. There we go. And then we've got Mum there with that bit of dimension on it. So I'm just going to stick this piece on, and then we can construct the lid itself. Oh, what's that there? I don't know what that is. Something stuck there. There we go. So now we can just go ahead and make the box, or the lid should I say. So let's get some nice right angles again, and then everything should fit lovely. Give it a squash down. By squashing it, you're spreading out the glue and making sure you've got the best possible adhesion that you can get. So obviously if I'd have done all of the prep work on camera, this would have been quite a long video, so I hope you don't mind that I did some of the prep work before. There we go. Just bring them in. And again, you can build this around your box. If you're unsure or you're new to box making and you think, oh, I don't know if it'll fit, I don't know if it'll fit, you can actually pop it around your box before you put your glue on, of course. Let's see if I can do that. Put it in that way, just so you can get an idea of what I mean. So if you pop your box inside, obviously you wouldn't want it on its side, you'd want it in properly, and then you can line it up, and also it gives you a bit of structure inside to press down against. So you could always do that if you're a little bit unsure about box making. There we go, and that is all burnished inside to make sure it's all stuck well. Obviously that will go on. I need to stamp a new one of those. I'll do that afterwards. But the one final thing I'm going to do is, we've got some little notches here just to make it easier to get the lid off for the recipient. So I've got this 1-inch punch. I've had this quite a while. And I'm just gonna guess. You don't look at the front and the back at the same time, so in theory nobody would notice if it's slightly off. So just gonna guesstimate the middle. And see, they're not exactly the same size, but I don't think anybody would ever notice. And then this is the test. And it fits lovely. So obviously that will sit on top. So I hope you like my box. I hope it's inspired you to use your fancy papers and your foiled papers. And that is the 3 boxes I've done. And I think they are lovely. Such fun with the letters up on foam and in the mirror card. I think that is lovely. So I hope you like my boxes. If you do, please click the like button. It would be very much appreciated. And thank you for your time. Bye for now.